Okay, so here we are operating FT8 on Linux. I've operated FT8 on Linux before on a different machine, but I recently ditched Windows 11 on my main desktop to run Linux Mint. So, there's an IZ8 coming back to me. I'm on 30 meters. In this video, I'm going to be explaining how I got FT8 running on a Linux PC. I actually have quite a lot of experience of Linux, but only as a systems administrator. I ran a web hosting company from 2000 to 2008, and then for 2 years I was director of a managed hosting company. So I spent probably more than 8 years looking at terminal screens all day. But that also means that I know nothing about Linux desktops. So I've been learning this as I've been going. I was running Windows 11 and I decided that I had to change because I stopped getting security updates because the processor on my machine was taken off the approved list for Windows 11. Having installed Linux Mint, I thought I would get FT8 working, and I don't do a huge amount of FT8, but here we go. First thing I had to do was to wire the radio to the computer, and I will insert a short video here showing how my computer is connected. So here is how I have the radio plugged into USB. The lead comes out the back here, and it plugs into an extension. This is a powered extension USB cable which goes all the way across the shack to the computer. This is a 10-meter long extension cable, and the idea is that it could reach another room. It's powered so it repeats the USB signal over a much longer distance, and I used to use this when I was using a laptop in another room to control the radio. If you download the FT710 setup guide for FT8 that Yaesu UK supply, you can ignore the first 9 pages, as that is all about how to install the drivers. The audio interface in the radio uses chips from Silicon Systems, and those drivers are included in the current Linux kernel. So as long as you're running a reasonably recent copy of Linux, you do not need the drivers. As soon as you plug the radio into a USB socket on the computer, it will be recognised and set up as a USB audio device. Installing WSJTX and GridTracker, if you want to do it, is very easy. All you do is open the software manager and search for WSJTX. I've already got it installed, but normally you would have a button there showing you click on that to install it. And you do the same for GridTracker if you want to operate that. When you open the software, you need to set up your details. Obviously call sign and grid location has to go in there. I have selected display distance in miles. Under radio, you have to select FT710. You will need to select the correct serial port, and it's doing serial port over USB, so you'll need to work out which one it is. I only had one, and it's likely that you'll only have one unless you've plugged other radio programmers and things into the machine already. There are ways of checking which one is which. I won't go into that here, but because you probably will only have one. You need to set the baud rate to 38,400. These are all of the default settings that the radio is set up to use. So I have the PTT method set to RTS. I have mode set to data and packet. Split operation. The official Yaesu instructions say that you should select none. When I did that, it did not change the transmit and receive frequency, which it should do. So I set it to fake it. And what fake it means is that the software changes the frequency. You then have to click test PTT and it should come up and say that it's working. You click test cat and it'll tell you whether it's got frequency control over the radio. And those will both go green, or I think this one goes, the PTT one goes red, but it allows you to test those from within there. Under audio, this is the confusing thing. You need to set the input and output and you're looking for, they are called C Media Electronics Inc. And these are what I have got them set for. I've got the input on the sound card set to mono fallback, and the output sent to IEC 958 stereo, and I've got them both set to mono, and that is working. I'll talk a bit about that later. Under reporting, I've clicked prompt me to log QSO. That means that at the end of a QSO a little window pops up and I click on yes to log the QSO. I've also got enable PSK reporter spotting ticked, because you can go to pskreporter.net and look up your calls and see what's happening there. I also have UDP server set up, because this is for connecting to GridTracker, and it's port 2237. Outgoing interface, there was only one listed in my machine, so that's the one I selected. And you can see the other settings there. You can always pause these if you want to see them for longer. Radio control debugging. When I pressed the PTT test button, it didn't work. It said it was a Hamlib error. It is not a Hamlib error. This is caused by the user needing to be in the dial-out group in the operating system. And this goes back to the days of modems and things like this. So you have to add your user into the dial-out group, or it won't be able to control the PTT across the serial port. So the way that you do that is to open a terminal window and you type sudo, which is super user do. For those who don't know Linux, basically it's root. You operate as root. Sudo usermod -a -G dial-out and then the name of the user. So for me, that was sudo usermod -a -G dial-out Gordon, because Gordon is my username on the system, and that fixed that. You need to reboot, of course, for that to take effect. Okay, for the audio setup, you need to click on the loudspeaker icon on the bottom right toolbar, select sound settings. The output device controls the receive audio level. The input device controls transmit audio level. There are controls in WSJTX, but I found that the receive audio level was not controllable from within the program, and it had to be controlled from within the sound settings on the computer. This is how you adjust the receive audio level. It's under output and then speakers. And then under input and microphone USB audio device is where the audio level is set for transmit. However, I find that that's also, this slider here is also controlled from within WSJTX. Audio debugging issues. If the audio device does not appear in sound settings, then you need to open a terminal window and type ALSA, and that should be ALSA mixer. This opens a window where you can select audio devices and set levels. Once you've done that, the devices may actually appear in sound settings correctly after you've rebooted. This is what ALSA mixer looks like. You have to press F6 to select a sound card, and then you will find that default 4 here was the USB audio device, which is the radio. And once you've clicked on that, you can then adjust it up and down. It says USB audio device, and you actually just use your mouse to move up and down here to change the level. And that may actually set it up correctly in sound settings the next time you log in. WSJTX operation. I'm not going to go into this in detail. All you do is select a band from the drop down menu, wait 30 seconds, and you should see some decodes on the screen. To transmit, you need to adjust the level, the transmit audio level. I run my radio at 10 watts or 20 watts, and I just turn up the audio drive level in WSJTX until the needle is just hitting that power level on the meter on the radio. If you want to set up GridTracker, I mainly use it to log to qrz.com automatically, and I upload there from Logbook of the World. You can set it up to log directly to Logbook of the World or to other logging software. These are the settings that I've got set up. Again, you can pause these if you want to see them. The UDP and ADIF settings are about connecting to other logging software and connecting to WSJTX. I also logged a GridTracker itself as a text file just for security reasons. You can see that I've got qrz.com clicked here. The API key that you need is generated from within qrz.com. If you go to logbook, your logbook, and then the settings page, it's in there. You have to click to reveal that, and then you paste it in there. GridTracker operation. As WSJTX is decoding, you should see stations appearing on the map in GridTracker that you're currently hearing. When a QSO completes, WSJTX asks you to log it. When you click the button, the details are sent to GridTracker, and from there they are sent to qrz.com. And then every week or so I will go into qrz.com and press the button to send that over to Logbook of the World. That's just how I choose to do it. So I hope you found this useful. I can't really answer questions about your particular Linux setup because they are all so different. But this should give you some idea of how it works and how you can make it work together. And it's certainly working fine for me at the moment. And I hope it works for you too. Thank you, and 73s from GM4SVM.